Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today is one of my favorite videos to make, and that is a mailbag edition. I always enjoy these, and every now and again, with all the talk about USPS lately in the news and doing the mailbag, I always think of the Three Amigos. And how do you know it's a mail plane? Well, you see those? Oh, anyway, that's a whole other story. Uh, on to your comments, your questions, and everything. And without further ado, make numismatics great again. Mailbag question: do you ever get numismatically burnt out where you just need to walk away for a while because the sight of coins make you sick? So I'm going to tackle this question kind of the way it's worded, which is to say, numismatically burnt out, sight of coins make you sick. The very specific answer to that question is no. Looking at coins doesn't make me sick. I will say the closest I get to that is actually at a coin show. Um, because you can get numismatically, I think, overwhelmed and versus burnt out, where it's just like there's so much stuff. Even if you go to a small show, you learn really fast that you need to have a plan going into a show because it can be overwhelming. So the thing about getting burnt out has a lot more to do with just work, lifestyle, owning a shop, having to sort and go through things. And there's a lot of things on the internal side of what I do that can be a burnout kind of situation. But, burnout is not terrible because it reminds you that, hey, you need to be doing other stuff in your life. And so when you get burnt out, if you ever go on a vacation for just a couple days, just get out of town, you kind of just reset your mind a little bit. And lots of times that's all that's really necessary to make you realize, hey, things are okay. Things are going to be okay. All right, speaking of that, Roy says, whatever happened to the fun of collecting instead of watching the speculators drive prices of a market that 40 years ago changed, perhaps when a new Red Book came out? That is why I left the coin collecting and never looked back. No more history, romance, provenance of old collectors. Better off with stock market and a government partner. So there's a whole lot of stinging sentiment here from Roy. And Roy, I don't know how to do this. I don't have any official title. I have lots of badges that I can give myself and just self-proclaimed, just whatever, give myself a little badge, coin ambassador, and say, hey, you watched my video, come on back. There are people who love coin collecting and enjoy coin collecting, and I will say my view is that the people who watch these videos enjoy the hobby. Because there are guys out there in YouTube land who have a lot more views and viewers than I do, and sometimes I think some of the content there can be a little bit less towards the hobby side, a little bit more YouTube gotcha sometimes. But I'll say there are people that enjoy. It's like anything else in life. You gotta wade through all the crap to get to the good stuff, right? So Roy, come on back to coin collecting, enjoy, do it for the hobby, and have some fun, because we're here to have some fun. All right, James L says, this was a video about defining your coin collecting. This is probably the best advice I've heard. Not sure why I didn't see this video until now. I do sometimes feel like losing my focus and having this impulse to buy a box rule of maybe 2 or 3 boxes would help prevent a collector from becoming a hoarder, which is a behavior that will destroy the hobby. Well said, thank you. Well said to you, James. Yeah, there's always going to be different aspects of the hobby, and so I'm going to piggyback on the comment before that and say, just because other people are ruining the hobby doesn't mean you have to hate the hobby. And just because there are hoarders in the hobby doesn't mean you have to hate the hobby. There are plenty of things about the hobby that drive me nuts. I've been kind of on a bender about these guys that put out the magazine or the newspaper articles, and they have restricted roles and casino rolls and all this baloney that they make up, and it drives me nuts. And there's no one in the numismatic community that's really going to do anything about it. But at the same time, I'm not really of the belief that you should just do things about that. Like, I don't like legislation. Caveat emptor, I think, is good. But my point is, I hate that stuff. It's a part of the hobby, though. It just is, right? So finding your focus, good idea, great idea. because there are so many things that you can collect and get into. And most people that I know that collect are probably actually a tad more organized than me, because you see all this behind me right here. That's kind of how I am. There's a nail, there's something that can hang. Boom, I had a spot. It's there. Done. Right? Why worry? So sometimes I give advice that I need to follow better too. So James, thanks for your comment. Eric says always carry 2 loops. I've seen westerns. This is so funny. My first trip to Real Coin Store, I didn't even think of bringing my favorite loop and felt incapable. Burn and learn. By the way, the best loop of any brand is a broken 50mm lens, since they can be picked up for $10 or so. Great eye relief, distance from the eye optic, as well as high quality wide field, about 10 times magnification. So Eric sounds like he does photography. And if you get, sometimes you can get a lens from something that's not intended for numismatic purposes, or it's not really, a coin loop per se. And I've seen plenty of guys that they have a little glass disc that they use, and they'll carry it around with them, and they're really handy. They're a lot of if they're glass, a lot of them are very practical to have. But the point about that is always have your loop with you. I think it's pretty funny. That's like some type of a coin collecting mantra we should have. And also always have a backup loop. That also, I've seen westerns. I've also seen westerns. All right, let's tackle a couple more here. Let me see here. Fernando, Ben, the post office of today is far slower and inefficient compared to the Wild West days of the Pony Express. All right, so a lot of people made fun of the post office because of the video about them announcing the slowdowns and stuff. And I have a lot of the irony here is that the post office is one of my favorite governmental agencies, because I consider them to be, for me, they've been very reliable over the years. And I know if people really get bent out of shape about the post office stuff. I brought this one up because I had to laugh at the Pony Express remark. I don't know that the Pony Express would have been faster, but you think about the history of the post office and having to become just a modern entity that competes with UPS and FedEx and whatnot. And so it's a wide cry from the Pony Express, which, by the way, I highly doubt that the Pony Express was. Let's put it this way. I'm guessing that in the Old West, people complained about their mail service too. Let's put it that way. But anyway, I appreciate everyone's thoughts on that. And I do think my postal workers, I really have great postal workers that deliver here. So thanks to them. All right, James says, Ben, I need your observations. Every website and numismatic publication for the last year I read came that... this is actually written in words. I should just read the words, right? Every numismatic publication for the last year I read claim collector coins. Values are increasing, but every coin shop I stop into, and maybe there's 3 that he goes to, the owner says sales are soft. What's your take? It seems like dealers who engage on social media, YouTube, do well, but those who don't languish. And James, part of the answer you already answered, which is to say, there's plenty of coin shops out there that are straight brick and mortar and have just stayed straight brick and mortar. And they don't have the same level of engagement with the marketplace because the marketplace is becoming digital. A lot of people complained about Amazon recently on some of on the postal service video and whatnot. Okay, but if everyone uses Amazon, it doesn't matter, right? If you have, unless collectively everyone's going to stop using them, then that trend is just going to continue. The coin market trend, as far as I can tell, because of electronics, because of technology, whatever you want to say, is going to continue to be dominated by digital people, so to speak. Brick and mortar, I hope we never see brick and mortar go away. To me, it's invaluable to have good advice, right? So as kind of an analogy, I like the idea of what Robinhood is doing by getting young people to invest, because to me, investing is a smart thing to do over time. But the problem is that they've dehumanized it. One of my favorite things to do is actually sit down with somebody who is engaged with investing and talk to them about it. And that goes true for pretty much everything that I like to do. Is you want to find really solid people who give really solid advice and don't have an agenda. Or at least maybe you understand where they're coming from if they have an agenda, so to speak, right? So at least you understand that your stockbroker has some vested interest in you giving him money, but at the same time, he really has a vested interest in you doing well, because usually that means he's going to do better also, right? So there's a little connector there. But the point is that brick and mortar people are going to have a hard time unless they can learn to engage in the marketplace. By the way, there's many different marketplaces. They can just pick one. YouTube's my home. I enjoy it here, and it has helped our business. I don't do as much with Instagram, although I'm on there and I do some Instagram. I can't handle Twitter. No comprendo. I don't get it. And I won't use Facebook. And I've kind of taken a stand there, which is kind of stupid, because Facebook is probably the most efficient, effective way to do marketing in today's electronic market. But I know plenty of guys, hey, they do Facebook groups. Hey, join our Facebook group. I've had a lot of guys ask me to join your Facebook group, and I just won't be on Facebook. So it's just a me thing, and I will lose business over it, and I'm sure that my competitors gain an upper hand on that. But I'm in other places, so it's okay, and I have other markets to get after. Now, also, you answered your own question about the local brick and mortars maybe not doing as well. But the first part of the question was about the marketplace. And I'm still predicting that this market is very temporary. It super heavily has affected better date coins and especially dollars. And I think that will turn around. I think those prices will come back down. I think eventually demand gets met. But I will say that maybe you'll have some new higher lows. In other words, if MS65 went from $1.25 up to $2.25, maybe they'll settle back down at 150. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to settle back down at the $1.25 range. That's just a guess of mine, because I do think that the hobby has the ability to stay pretty strong. I do think that there are a lot more collectors than there were 2 years ago for a variety of reasons. And as far as sales go, I know what they're talking about, because I have times when on the brick and mortar side, I'm not selling as many things that seem to be quote unquote hot in the marketplace. But a lot of that stuff's pretty easy to sell online still. So anyways, guys, thanks. As always, leave your comments, and in general, on every video that I make, leave comments, like, share, and subscribe, because that helps the channel out. And also, if you care to know, if you see that Abraham Lincoln icon, this guy here, yeah, you see that guy? If you see that pop up on your screen at the end and you don't know we have memberships, you can click on that and learn more about what the memberships are. All right, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.